Hey, what is going on, everybody? Christian here. All right, I'm gonna probably be talking really fast on this one because a lot's happened in the past week, and I have a lot to share with you, and I'm gonna try and make this as short as I can. But I'm gonna probably go over, honestly. So a lot of things happened this last weekend. A lot of things that God had revealed to me and worked with, and has been working with me on this past week. And even though it really sucked for him to get the message across to me, this past week has been absolutely phenomenal and in every sense because he showed me a problem that I had and an area I fell in and a place where I started idolizing something else over him and he started showing me areas that I was weak in and areas where I thought I was good, I thought I was strong, I thought I knew what I was doing. He's like, no, you literally haven't actually done what you thought you've done. You've been holding on to this thing from the past, and it sucks because I'm like, oh man, I thought I was doing better than that. But thankfully he revealed it now and he didn't wait till longer whenever things have gotten so much worse. So I just want to kind of go into a bunch of scripture that I've just been pouring into James and First Corinthians all week. Like I've been reading it every day and it's just been so eye-opening and things that I was like, oh wow, I didn't realize this. So I'm gonna jump right into it. So how long, Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? How long am I to feel anxious in my soul, with grief in my heart all the day? How long will my enemy be exalted over me? Consider and answer me, O Lord my God, and lighten my eyes, or I will sleep the sleep of death. And my enemy will say, I have overcome him, and my adversaries will rejoice when I am shaken. But I have trusted in your faithfulness. My heart shall rejoice in your salvation. I will sing to the Lord because he has looked after me. Psalms 13, 1 to 6. Psalms is just so much about whenever, when David was being attacked and, and even being king and having to run and hide in caves and how he was just like going through so much. And, he's like constantly praying out to God. And that's why David's known as the man after God's own heart because he went through so much but he trusted in the Father. And so he's like, here's all like this bad stuff. And then, but I'm trusting in you. Like you're gonna save me. I know you are, and I trust that you will. Uh, so that's kind of like what a lot of the Psalms is about. And that was a lot for me. So I just wanted to grab a couple of these Psalms for today, just to give the understanding of how of just how crappy of a process it was for God to get me to realize something. Um, but again, it's great, and I'm so thankful for it. But it still hurt being in the moment. So Psalms 31 to 6 is, I will exalt you, Lord, for you have lifted me up and have not let my enemies rejoice over me. Lord my God, I cried out to you for help, and you healed me. Lord, you have brought up my soul from Sheol. You have kept me alive, that I would not go down to the pit. Sing praise to the Lord, you his godly ones, and praise the mention of his holiness. For his anger is but for a moment, his favor is for a lifetime. Weeping may last for a night, but a shout of joy comes in the morning. Now, as for me, I said in my prosperity, I will never be moved. And that was awesome. That one really hit me hard because that's how my whole past week was. And even though again it sucks in the moment, reading these scriptures, like we're told in Ephesians 6 about the belt of truth, like the armor of God, first one's belt of truth. When you hold on to that truth and you know what is absolutely true and you are willing to like, you are willing to stick to your guns, you are willing to like die on what you know is true, and that's the word of God. Then whenever you're able to have that, then you can go back to the other scriptures where it's like, oh, other people have been persecuted, other people have suffered, other people have died, and all this stuff has happened, and they kept their faith in the Father. So why shouldn't I? Why can't I? Where's my lack of faith there? So it's things like that. At least I know for me that was a big part. So all right. So Voltaire says, faith consists in believing when it's beyond the power of reason to believe. It is, because it's really hard to have faith in the moment. But having that community around you is so needed, and I really needed that. And because if I didn't, I was actually going to do a lot of old me stuff that I would have fallen into. But I had a great group of people around me that were able to be there and help me and to work with me when I wasn't wanting to do it. Soren Kierkegaard, life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. Man, I hate how true that one is because that's again just what happened to me. Again, this last weekend was I was just going through such a such a suck, such a reliving. an old version of me that I didn't know was still alive. I thought it was all gone. And the Father brought it to light, because he needed me to work on it and heal from it. He needed me to allow him to come and heal it. And I don't even have time to go into all of it again, but just wanted to give like some big context ideas and an overall generalization of kind of what had happened and what, the Father was working with me on. So yeah, I can see it now. I didn't see it till after a couple days after I was in the bad place. I was, dealing with the problem and trying to just trying to be like, what's going on? Like I haven't been in this place for so long. And then after a little bit of getting away from it, thinking on it, praying on it, and the Father working with me, did he bring the things to light? Just like, Kierkegaard is saying. It's like you have to live the life, but then you can kind of look back and understand, oh, that's why these things happened. So that's kind of why I threw that one in there. But that's what happened. A couple days later, I was able to be like, oh, I did this, I did that. I was wrong here. God was showing me that. He allowed this to happen because of that. And he wanted to deal with the problem here earlier before I'm further down the road and I make it even harder. So so again, I was in James this entire week, and it's been a while since I've read it. And so yeah, I'm just in it a lot right now. So for one, James 1:13. No one is to say when he is tempted, I am being tempted by God, for God cannot be tempted by evil, and he himself does not tempt anyone. Now that's good, but then it made much more sense, and it just had that extra like impactful meaning when I was reading First Corinthians 10:13 that goes, no temptation has overtaken you except something common to mankind. And God is faithful, so he will not allow you to be tempted beyond what you are able, but with the temptation will provide the way of escape also, so that you will be able to endure it. So when I was reading that again, I've read these many times over my life, but not until like earlier this week did those actually come into play, and I realized, oh, these work so much together, and this is exactly what happened to me, is that the is that God didn't tempt me, just like with Job, right? Job was, righteous man. He was like the only dude left who was good. And the devil comes to God and he's like, hey, he's like, I got all your kids, they all suck. They all follow me, haha. And God's like, nope, I got Job. He's a great dude. And he's like, oh, well, that's because you take care of him. And we know that whole story, and he's like, what? Go ahead, go test him. He's like, you can't kill him, but go test him, go do what you do. So God like allows those things to happen. Now he's not the one doing it, but there's a great evil out there that's like, I just want to cause pain and suffering to you. And so they're always at the ready and wanting to do that, but they have to get permission from God. That's my understanding of it, at least. So God will allow that to test us, and He really tested me. And for a little bit, I was failing it, because I kind of fell back into this abyss that I created when I was younger, and it was a place, I kind of like turned off all my feelings and emotions when I was a kid, uh, and uh, and so I didn't grow up with a lot of feelings and emotions, and so whenever in this past week, only in the past actually couple months did have I started having those turn back on, and like letting the Father in to come in. But I realized that all of that my the majority of my life of not having those turned on and understanding them, like allowing them to um allowing them in my life really, I just kind of turned it all off. And I'm like, I don't care about these things, you know. And so it was, God had to reveal that to me and show me that since I'd had those off for so long, I was literally, the only way I can kind of describe it is that I was an infant in the knowledge and understanding of my feelings and emotions, so that so I didn't understand how to deal with a certain situation whenever it came about. And I reverted to my old ways, which was this abyss I created in my mind. And just to make that a little bit more clear, for the abyss, deep, dark hole, cold, plenty of voices, not a God's, but plenty of other voices saying all kinds of things. That just made me dig a deeper and deeper hole in my life growing up. And so I'd had this abyss my whole life. And it wasn't until just about 3 years ago when I got saved did, I feel that he pulled me out of there. And I hadn't been there in almost 3 years now until this last weekend, because of my lack of understanding of certain things, And so whenever a life situation came up, I put myself back in that hole because I hadn't let the Father come and heal that abyss. I didn't allow him to come and fill that abyss with his love and to get rid of it. So these are just like a bunch of my thoughts and the interesting things that happened with me. Uh, like this past week was that, I needed to heal from some stuff and I didn't know it because I hadn't dealt with it at all. Like I was like, oh, I'm saved, I'm done here, and he took care of it. But I didn't actually allow him to take care of it. I didn't actually ask him to come in and heal it and fill it with his love. Not just to take it away, but also you have to fill it with something good of his. And so anyways, that's kind of that part of things is that he just allowed me to face that and he allowed me to endure trials and temptations because the enemy was very much there. He was very much in my head and he threw me around for a day or two. And he had a lot of fun. But then again, my those around me, they were able to come and work with me and help talk with me and talk through this and pray with me and all that great stuff. And I'm like, oh God, I feel so much better. Then I was like, oh, I'm back in this abyss. Okay, I didn't ever let God fill it and heal it. So then I had to go through that process. And that just leads to another new growth in life process. So that's just kind of a generalization of what's going on there. Another one is James 5:13. Is anyone among you suffering? Then he must pray. Is anyone cheerful? He is to sing praises. And that's like super helpful, super needed because I wasn't able to be joyful and I wasn't able to sing praises because I was just in the middle of this old abyss. And when I was there, it was all the heaviness, all the lies, all the depression, all the confusion, anxiety. It was all the old stuff that I got rid of, or that I thought I allowed, that I got rid of, that I allowed the Father to heal from me from. But they came back because I didn't have that wound healed, and I didn't fill it with His presence. So, anyways, but I was able to at least read some Psalms, and I was able to pray to Him, and I was at the point I was in tears for 2, 3 days straight. I was just constantly crying last weekend, and like I just didn't know I just didn't really know what to do. So I was at the point of like, God, where are you? Like I know you're here. Like I know you're here, and I believe you're here, but where are you? I don't see you. I don't hear you. I don't feel you. Where are you at? So I was at that point of like just complete, desperation. And again, so when you're there, you know it if you've been there, and I know everyone has because we're all human and it sucked. But again, I was at least able to hold on to that, use that belt of truth and hold on to that knowledge of that I know you're here and I know that there's a reason for this. I can't see it right now, but I trust you. So, anyways, just remembering these kinds of verses and like having like I'm putting them up on my wall so that I can see those every single day, so that whenever I am in these situations where these trials come up, uh, that I can be like, okay, remember, yeah, okay, there's that belt of truth, word, life, truth, light, all of it. So James 1:14-15 is, but each one is tempted when he is carried away and enticed by his own lust. Then, when lust has conceived, it gives birth to sin, and sin, when it has run its course, brings forth death. And again, I'm human and I'm imperfect. And even though I thought I had like healed from areas, even though I thought I had overcome certain temptations of the flesh, since I had again opened up an emotional door to an infant, I didn't have that understanding of how to deal with newer uh, feelings and situations. I didn't know how to deal with those properly. So my flesh came back in of something that I hadn't dealt with in years. Again, hadn't dealt with it in years. But now that I opened that old door, then all this other stuff, all the old crap kind of came back flooding through. And I didn't notice it because it was gradual enough that I didn't see it. I thought I was doing the things right. So it's these kinds of realizations that He's gonna smack you upside the head and get you to realize like there's a problem here. We need to fix it. So James 1:12 is blessed is the man who perseveres under trial, for once he has been approved, he will receive the crown of life, which the Lord has promised to those who love him. Again, that's just another one of those great verses that is saying, hey, I know it sucks, I know it's hard, but when you get through, because you can, and it sucks, but you can. So when you get through that situation, then guess what? There's a reward at the end. God's gonna, he loves you, you're proving yourself kind of thing, because it's hard to prove yourself in these types of situations. It's taxing in every sense. And then the last one I'll leave you off with is James 1, 2 to 4. Consider all joy, my brothers and sisters, when you encounter various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces endurance. And let endurance have its perfect result so you may be perfect, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. Again, and just another one of those great verses that get you to remember that, hey, you got to go through this. Like refining gold, refining silver. You have to constantly have it under heat, and it's got to be under such an intense heat that everything that's not silver is burnt out. And that process sucks. It hurts. It really does. But again, it's all great and it's all for, the glory to God. So even though it was a rough week, rough last week, I'm still thankful to my absolute core, and I give nothing but praise to the Father for this whole situation happen, for it happening because he had me realize so many things that I've been working on and that he's going to be having me go on a new journey of. So even though I have almost I think I'm like quite up there when it comes to mastering the flesh and the physical. I spent years doing it. I'm not David Goggins, but I'm pretty close. I would say on in many retrospects of sacrificing my flesh and being able to overcome it and just not care what the body says because I tell myself what to do. I'm really high up there. I am really low when it comes to the emotional understanding now. And I didn't like I could understand it, but I didn't understand it for myself and how that applies to these situations that I'm dealing with and that God's put in front of me. So guess what? Now he's got me on a whole new journey after 3 years of working on stuff that I thought I was good on. He's like, nope, you're actually not. So that's great. That's part of my next new season. So I just want to get that out there for you guys. So hopefully it might be able to, you might be able to relate or it might be able to shed some light on your situations and how things are going. Anyways, I hope you guys are doing great. All the love and y'all be blessed. Talk to you next time.